Hello, everyone, and welcome to Planet FPL, the world where everything revolves around Euro 2024. My name is Calin.
My name is James. Hello,
Bang
mate.
on. We got that out of the way, didn't we?
That was really good. That's going to also throw a few people. Callan, who are you, mate?
So I'm the guest to today's show, in absence, of course, of your regulars during the show. But I'm really honored and I'm really happy to be here as an invitation coming from you to really support today and to give an outside view, let's say, because I'm the one coming from Romania. You might have guessed, right? Right here. I got this especially for today, and it's going to be a giveaway to our community because in Romania we do represent your community as English football. We like to call ourselves the unofficial embassy of English football in Romania, meaning that, yeah, we will promote, we will have a YouTube channel in Romanian presenting only English football. And in relation to Planet FPL, I am your loyal Patreon advanced tier, let's say, from the first day you launched your Patreon. And I've been proud to call myself that.
Yeah, Suj is traveling to Portugal all week. Many of you will know he's moving there and he's driving there via France and several stop-offs. So he's not going to be around this week. Clayton's going to do the majority of the content with me, but he said, I'll leave out Monday. I'm going on a stag do in Prague. I was like, okay, well, I need someone good to come in for Monday. And I genuinely mean this and happy to say it, not just community member of Planet FPL, but a friend of the show as well. Callan's a Tottenham fan, so he obviously gets priority with me as well. And it worked nicely, I think, after you'd catfished the whole Patreon community and told everyone that Romania was shit, and then you went and won 3
Oh,
0.
yeah, we're going to talk about that because there was a second game after that, right? How are you all feeling now? Is it, you feel like it was a bunch of catfish around that? Or,
I still think we think better of Romania than perhaps you thought yourself, but we'll
yeah.
discuss that. What we're going to do on this podcast, obviously, discuss the games played from Friday, starting with Slovakia, Ukraine, running through to the conclusion of Group A last night as well. Should we just touch on Euro fantasy
Yeah,
and how our match day twos went?
yeah, we can. First of all, a fair disclaimer, I've not been so engaged in Euro 2024 fantasy game. It's simply because, I mean, you know it best, James, and all content creators know it. A full season takes a toll on everyone as a content creator, meaning you do have a lot of responsibilities. You do feel when the season is ending, wow, it's been quite a year, right? So that was my feeling because we've launched sort of a Patreon kind of activity to our fan base. Let's say after 3 years of shows, we've decided to make the step that you guys made way back, right? Going into subscriptions and paid members and so on. So it's been the year of responsibility when you feel you've made that jump and you feel that you had to be really careful with every detail and to set up everything correctly. So that is a disclaimer to say that once Premier League was done, I also felt like I'm done. It felt like now I'm gonna relax a little bit. This I don't need to be so engaged into this. But nevertheless, we did make a mini league for our subscribers. We did make, let's say, a selection. But I have to be honest, I made mine, I think 1, 2 weeks before the tournament, and I didn't touch it. I was proud to say that I did pick up some names which came good for me, even with that initial selection, and it was pretty good. So this was my disclaimer to say I will not be your expert into this
We don't
into
have
this trip
experts on
today.
this podcast, Callan. You're fine, mate.
Right. So that's the way it went. So with 53 points, match day one, 70 points, match day two. And I've landed, where am I? I'm not really sure where I was in the leadership. Something around like 500K, something like that, I think, after two match days.
It's a reasonable start. Are you on any chips this week or anything?
Limitless for this one, for
Okay.
match day three.
Yeah, it's a lot of similarities in our selections, and I suppose for a lot of people on Limitless as well, it's probably three blanking Germans from last night for many of us. You went with Dominic Szoboszlai as well. I
Mhm.
didn't pick up anything from the uh the Hungary Scotland game last night. And you've got one more point than me from the German players because you went with Havertz, who I dumped for Gundogan. We both went Musiala and Mittels. What's his name? I've had a blank.
Mittelstadt.
Mittelstadt. Oh, I could think it was Mittelsberg. That's obviously not right. Mittelstadt. Thank you. I don't know. Have you got a captaincy problem tonight though? I'm just looking. Who have you got playing tonight? Is it just DeMarco?
Is it just, yeah, it's just that. So I won't bother until tomorrow making any decisions.
Yeah, there's every chance he's not going to play. Is the
Yeah.
rumor? I take it you'll move the captaincy off Shabashla, will you?
Yeah, I will.
Yeah. We also went free England. I went Kane, Bellingham. So did you. You've gone Stones. I've gone Gay.
Hmm.
But then there's a few differences. We've both got double France defense. I've gone Mike Mannion and Hernandez. You've gone Saliba.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, there's a few differences in there. Do you want to just talk through who the rest of the team is that you've got going into this week that's left?
So I'm left with, let's say, Harry Kane starting from the top, right? So it's going to be Harry Kane next to Havertz, but I have Lukaku on the bench. So that's always an option there for the last day. In midfield, I still have, let's say, starters Bellingham and Eriksen, and on the bench, Kevin De Bruyne. And in defense, I have DiMarco, which, yeah, might be a doubt, but I have Van Dijk and Saliba with Stones on the bench. And my sub for Mike Maignan would be Castells from the Belgian team.
Yeah, so me a little bit different. Some similarities. Did you go no Spanish?
Yeah, I want no Spanish because
Yeah,
I just felt like it's a risk I didn't like.
yeah. I've taken a risk. I went for three of them. I went for Grimaldo, Oyarzabal, who the intention is to captain tonight, and I've gone with Ferran Torres as well, who someone pointed out that just saw the F Torres and thought Fernando Torres had made a comeback. They said the treble England, the treble Germany's not gone well. We've got the double French defense. We've also got Donnarumma tonight. Part of the
Mhm.
thinking of that was, oh my God, if Spain pick a stronger team than fancied, at least I've got something alternative as a starter. And I've gone treble Belgium, Lukaku, De Bruyne, Castagna. I didn't go any Portugal because it just wasn't clear in terms of what they were going to do in terms of the strength of the team. And having taken the free gambles on the free Spanish players, I didn't really want to gamble on the Portuguese players as well.
Yeah,
I'm about 116k I was going into this game week. 144k after last night's games. Not a surprise.
yeah, the thing I didn't like about Portugal was also that I didn't like the second game of the day. You have no news about it. You don't know
Mhm.
how you should set up. So especially with Portugal being the last day without any information, you just felt like, yeah, that's really a gamble. You're gonna keep players. Are you gonna put them on the field? Are you gonna bring them from the bench? Really, without any information on the last day. So that's kept me away from Portugal.
Yeah, agreed. Right, let's talk through these games from
Mhm.
Friday through to Sunday. I know I'm keen to get your opinion on England at the
Yeah,
end
yeah.
as well. Slovakia, Ukraine, obviously from your group. Was you hoping from a Romanian perspective for a particular result from this?
Yeah, for example, this is the worst one for Romania. Um, because actually one dead team after two games was in our advantage, let's say, for Romania, right? So that one dead team in the group could have been Ukraine if they wouldn't have the resurrection in the second half, let's say. So Slovakia would have been such a comfortable opponent in the last day, coming off with 6 points or even four. I think that would have been more comfortable. And this moment, we don't even know how things are going to play out in the last game of the group, right? How the attitude is going to be from the Slovakia team against the Romania team, because I think both of them know a draw makes them go hand in hand to the next phase. So it's still okay. I think it wasn't such a big drama. Like, you didn't depend on that result. It's only, I get your question, would you have preferred any result? I think the
Yeah.
preferred one would have been that Ukraine will not get this resurrection. But nevertheless, that's a problem for Belgium more than for Romania, actually, because we're still well situated with a good goal advantage. So in this case, I don't see such a big panic because even Slovakia and Romania can really go through smoothly without big issues.
Yeah, I mean, the interesting aspect of the group is I get Ukraine are the only team that have to win for the
Yeah.
final group games. Is that, have I got that right, basically?
Well, not exactly, because they can actually get a draw. And if Slovakia and Romania do not draw,
Of
then
course,
actually
yeah.
they move up.
So technically, no one does. But what I mean is, if all four teams draw, obviously Ukraine will be the
Yeah,
ones
yeah.
that go out on goal difference because of your 3-0 victory
So that's
against them.
really clear that as long as it's a draw between Slovakia and Romania, Ukraine know they have to win because otherwise they're out.
Can you see Slovakia and Romania playing for the draw?
Ah, it's complicated. Because
I feel
we
like that was
had,
yes.
well, yeah, it could be, but I'm saying it's complicated because I don't see Romania, and I'm not sure if I see Slovakia as being so disciplined and really so carefully organized in every detail so that they won't get booed, they won't get shamed, and they will still be able to present themselves to a draw in the end without any finger pointing, right? So I don't feel that they have the elegance, the, let's say, the class to really put on a show that will not leave people disappointed. I think we remember even sad times maybe in the Champions League when, for example, I think I remember Man United playing for a 0-0 in the last game of the group somewhere in the Champions League to really move, to really go hand in hand with their opponents on. It was really badly received. So you don't want to do that. But I do remember Romania, for example, in 2008, playing the Netherlands in the last game of the group, and actually the Netherlands inviting us to win it. Come on, win it, because if you do, we're gonna let's say, kick out from the tournament
It was France
France
and
and
Italy.
Italy.
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
Yeah.
So they were inviting us for a full half. Score. Come on, score. Come on. It's wide open. Halftime, we didn't manage to score. We were not able to score in that first half. And the second half, they decided, yeah, it's becoming embarrassing, guys. Let's just do the job. And they won in the second half.
Do you take anything into Ukraine having less of the ball than perhaps we'd have expected in this game against Slovakia? Because obviously you had huge possession number against yourselves, over 70%, I think. And then
Yeah.
surprisingly, even looking at the second half on Friday, they only had 45% of the ball, Ukraine, despite the fact they were chasing. Did end up with a much more significant XG in the end. But would you look at Ukraine, Slovakia, and yourselves and think that when you're playing against sides of more this quality, that you're almost better off not having the ball? Does it feel like that?
Well, Romania is going to champion that. So, for example, that was the biggest issue I think Ukraine had, that they had to play like a big name, like a favorite in front of Romania, who was really relaxed and, okay, guys, play. If you want to play, let show us what you got. And 30 minutes, I think we saw the game that we were expecting to see. And thank you for pointing that out to the community when it was talking about, yeah, you catfished us and so on. 30 minutes, the game was exactly as we discussed it was
It's
going to be.
true.
Yeah, thank you for highlighting that. What happened after that was exactly, again, what we discussed. If you mess around, if you are confused in what you should do with those good minutes that you have, and Ukraine did that, they had a good half hour to show what they got. They did nothing with that. They were really confused. They were really without a clear target in mind, without a clear plan in mind. Just let's roll over them. Well, yeah, we're inviting you, and you're not going to have spaces, and they were totally blocked. And then came the moment when a really cool shot from Stanchu from outside the box. Yeah, look at that. Shock. And of course, shock then goes into confusion more. Then it will really open the door to exploit even more. A second goal out of nowhere, again from outside the box, from a lucky shot, or let's say one perfect moment for Romania. And then another confusion for another couple of minutes that gets you goal number 3. And there you go. The game is done. So what I'm saying is that Ukraine really were comfortable in playing the way Romania was playing. They were really not comfortable in playing the way Romania made them play. And that's why you saw them maybe not really interested in having the ball against Slovakia. And I was not surprised because they really are of the same footprint as Romania would be from a style of play.
Yeah, I mean, there was a couple of things that obviously changed from the Ukraine team, notably, obviously, the goalkeeper
Yeah.
was left out Lunin after his mistakes against Romania, which we'd predicted. They feel a little bit to me, Ukraine, like they're relying a little bit on individual moments from the likes of Mudryk, who's obviously clearly got ability, but a little bit erratic in his finishing. Nice return for those who went with Shaparenko, which I presume is not many, with a goal and an
Yeah.
assist, and obviously the assist brilliantly finished off by Yaremchuk. It was a player we really liked 3 years ago, but has not quite kicked on with his career. But some finish for the
Quite a goal.
finale. So
Quite.
when you play Slovakia on, is it Wednesday, isn't it? Wednesday evening. Are
Yeah.
either team going to want the ball?
Well, Slovakia, I
Or is
think.
Slovakia going to dominate it? I suppose they are.
And I'm not sure if we're gonna see domination, but I think we're gonna see like they're gonna have more of the ball. Like, yeah, we're not interested in really going into domination mode. Like we're gonna go and we're gonna attack, and no, we're gonna see the game through. Like, yeah, let's see how it goes.
Okay. Really enjoyed again watching Austria on Friday afternoon, who beat Poland 3-1. I think I'm right in saying that Poland were the only team eliminated officially from the tournament after the first two games. And a few of us on the side have been saying, yep, watch out for Austria. What have you made of them so far, Calin?
Well, I've made a lot from the moment that Ralf Rangnick rejected Bayern Munich. That made a big impression on me, let's say. Simply the fact that Bayern Munich were in a place where now manager after manager, name after name was rejecting them, and they got to company. I think we don't even know which number is it in the list that Bayern Munich had in mind
Fourth
when
or
they
fifth,
start.
we think.
I think it's more than that,
Oh,
honestly.
really?
Yeah. I think it's more than that because they started as soon as they decided to replace Tuchel. I think they really started to have discussions, and I think even Nagelsmann was the first one to reject them. Then Rangnick rejected them. Then we are discussing also options that they looked around. So yeah, I think they had a really tough time getting to the name that actually said yes in the end, and company was the name that was going to say yes. So Rangnick saying no at that moment told me, yeah, he really feels like he's going to make a good impression with Austria. He really believes in what he built. And I think we've been maybe a little bit unfair to Rangnick during his time with Manchester United
I
because
agree with that.
yeah, I think he was a sacrificial lamb into everything that went around during that time. And I really think he came in for a different job. He was preparing for that job. He said yes to a job that he did not, um, let's say, envision or really didn't want to take over at that time. He said yes to it. And he said some really harsh words on the state of Manchester United when it comes to sporting levels. So really, the message to the leadership and to the ownership of Manchester United was open heart surgery, right? I think we all agree with that. It sounded really bad in the offices at Old Trafford, like, oh my God, like how expensive is this surgery gonna be now? So they decided to move away from that message. Let's move away from the open heart surgery thing because that sounds expensive. And we're gonna just roll around with some other small pieces. And this guy who says that has to go as well. You're right. So they were really splitting in their football philosophies because I think Rangnick knew something that now I think is even more obvious with Ten Hag. Some guys really are allowed to do things at Manchester United that football players should not be allowed to do. Player power and stuff like that.
It's really interesting you mentioned United because I thought about United quite a lot after this game
Mm.
because I think the thing that's really stood out with Austria is the intensity, particularly off the ball. And Ranić is so highly thought of back in Germany. It doesn't surprise me that Bayern were interested in getting him in as their new manager. He really is thought of well. I know he was linked with our club, Calin at Tottenham. quite a bit before Paratici was
Yeah.
given that particular role as a sporting director. So he's a man that I've had my eye on for a while. And the big takeaway was how has he managed to implement this pressing system into an international team? Remember, you don't have the time to build on something in the same way as club levels. And yet we couldn't see it at Manchester United and what that spoke of actually of United. So I'm pleased that you mentioned it. They will be a really dangerous team. I think in the knockouts, it's extremely unlikely that they'd get knocked out here. I essentially would need them to lose really badly to the Netherlands, and with a +1 goal difference at the moment, I can't see that. Even if they lost, they should still go through. They could walk into England in the last 16. That is a possibility, and I think that would be a really dangerous game for England, actually.
So I think maybe we'll touch more on international football, let's say at national team level when we end up with England in our discussion today. But I think we are discussing hungry teams who are really hungry for results, and Austria is one of those. And that's what makes them dangerous, but that also can make them limited in what they can do up to really the important stages, because there's no high value behind to really sustain all that hunger, right? So it really has to be a careful balance between being hungry, ambitious, really going for it, and seeing your limits when it comes to what you can do against world-class players, because they are missing that type of players of world class that can actually give less but achieve more simply by class, simply by how valuable they are. And I think we've seen that also in the final of the Champions League, right? Dortmund got nowhere in giving a good impression of a first half. When you go out and you really provide a good half and you get nothing out of it, you can expect world-class players to just wake up out of nowhere and finish you off in a second half. And I think Austria has to be really careful with that, because you can love the intensity, you can love what you see in them, but you can also highlight limitations into player quality. So it's going to be a breaking point somewhere, or they're going to continue to be a really nice surprise going forward.
Yeah, I think teams will find them a challenge though, because
Yeah,
of the way they want to press. They've got some good players. Arnautovic is a player we're obviously very familiar with. Came back in and scored the
yeah.
penalty. I know a lot of the guys in Euro Fantasy gambled on Christoph Baumgartner, who scored Austria's second goal. Marcel Sabitzer was very close to a haul for Surge. So some good players. Poland disappointing, but not come as a huge surprise. One, the group was really tough, and also they barely qualified out of a weak group and beat Wales on penalties in their playoff final. So, how disappointed have you been with Poland, Calin?
Well, honestly, I think seeing that Lewandowski was only able to play 30 minutes out of 180, I think that's their biggest problem, actually, because I think they relied so much around Lewandowski, and I think they've built, I think he demanded actually to have that role inside the national team to really be the number one. And it's always vulnerable when that number one, who is so talismanic, right, goes away. You might see a team struggle. Like they just wanted to maybe survive until he becomes available, and they've not managed to do that.
Yeah, and I guess we'd think that France would probably beat them fairly routinely tomorrow as well, with nothing to play for.
Well, France is under scrutiny as well because they also look like a very, how should I say, in the economy class team. Like they really are dosing their efforts and they're really just giving as much as they need to, but not as much as they should give. And it depends on how they will see the challenge here. If Deschamps really is going to switch the team around and is going to give chances to players who want to make a name for themselves on European stage, on let's say major tournament stage, maybe that's going to make a difference. But otherwise, I don't see France really like let's finish them off, let's kill them. And no, it's only if the players will have that let's say mindset of really making a name for themselves for the France national team in a big way. Maybe we'll see some really interesting stuff happening from France, but otherwise it's still going to be something like, yeah, just control it, just make sure you get the job done. And I'm not sure if we're going to see such a big performance from France.
What did you make of the draw with the Netherlands for the French on Friday night? Fair result for you?
Yeah, maybe, I think the Netherlands left you with a better impression. Like,
Yeah, I agree with
especially
that.
because, yeah, because I think, especially when you see somebody as an outsider before the game, you're really going to give them your sympathy if they really stand tall in that game. Now, I think there was a kind of a mixture between how France was allowing them to play and how Netherlands really made a plan for that game. I think it's always based on how much your opponent is allowing you to have the ball to play and to express yourself. And France really had no issue in, yeah, play your games, no problem. I think we're going to wait for our moment. We don't have Mbappe right now. So we'll see how things play out. But for us, really important is to not have a disaster happening in this game because they knew Poland was right around the corner for the last game in the group. They won the first one. They had no issues, even if it was ugly or, let's say again, economy class win, like it was for England, for example, the first game in the group, right? So these type of national team managers were allowed that. Will say, yeah, don't worry about it. We got a plan. There's no need for us to provide more than we are providing and judge us based on what we do in the next stages, not how we get the job done in the group stage.
Yeah, there's a few interesting things from this one. I think the Netherlands really surprised when the team dropped and Simmons, Gakpo, Depay, and Frimpong were all in it, suggested a little movement away where they were going to use Simmons in a more central role to be quite dangerous on transition when they were countering on France. And I think a lot of people have begun to realize with France that it's not like as free flowing and exciting as everyone thinks it is on paper. I think we feel like it because there's so much pace that when they break on you, it's really, really dangerous. But they don't feel so comfortable when they have a lot of the ball, and they've actually ended up with nearly two-thirds in this one. And listen, look, they're missing arguably the best player in the world is obviously going to have a big impact on that. We do think, by the way, the rumor is at the moment that he probably will start tomorrow against Poland. That seems to be the word going around. But yeah, quite flat with France. I said pre-tournament, I don't feel there was as strong as the previous couple of tournaments. And I think it showed clearly that Mbappe was missing. Now, listen, him being back in is going to give them a different perspective where he can go and win games for them on their own. But I'm not sure how comfortable they are when they've got the ball. And it makes me reflect, by the way, on how we felt about how England performed against them in the World Cup. And actually, maybe a lot of that in reflection was France saying, look, we're happy for you to have the ball for long periods here. They were obviously never losing. So, look, France feels to me like they're going to be a more difficult team to beat than stop. That's how I
Yeah.
feel about them at the moment. I think they're going to be a really difficult team to beat. And clearly, once Mbappe's back, you've got that X factor. And I agree with you. I think, yeah, there was plenty of things to like about the Dutch. I thought De Vrij played really well again. I was really impressed with him against Poland. And obviously, they had this big moment with the disallowed goal. Did you think it should have stood or not?
Well, I think we've seen that moment so many times, and the goal won't stand when you feel like the goalkeeper really was influenced by having somebody right next to him. Like maybe he would have played the moment differently if he didn't have that person sitting right next to him influencing the way he was deciding, right? So we've seen that. I think the biggest issue is how long it took for actually to get to that decision. Because again, it goes back to only English referees have an issue managing
I
VAR.
was going to say, you know why it took so long.
Man. So it was not a good moment, let's say again, reestablishing that rule that it's the English struggling with VAR again.
The words that no Englishman ever wants to hear in the moment where they're checking the goal is Paul Tierney's on VAR. You might as well go and put the kettle on because we're going to be here a while,
Yeah.
kids.
Yeah, so I think that was the biggest issue because otherwise you can decide how to judge those moments. And I think we're still a mile away from really knowing how to judge every moment like that. And I think we really have to understand that some of them will be judged, okay, we can let this go through, and some of them are gonna be disallowed. I think this is something that is still under interpretation, and I think you can really have a look on it and not have a clear rule about it, because case by case, you're not going to be in the same situation, and you're again going to have to decide, was he influencing the decision or not? And with every moment like that is going to be such a difficult context to rule around.
Subjective.
Yeah, my opinion is that, your opinion is that. How about we allow the officials to have their own opinion in that case? Because it looks like we're split also in the fan base.
It's worth saying the on-field decision, although it took a few seconds, where obviously Anthony Taylor's gone to speak to the assistant referee, the on-field decision was offside. And then VAR has not recommended a review, which would have been to give the goal. I thought when it happened live and you see the angle from the side, I straight away thought it was offside. Immediately, I thought that goal is not going to count because of the position of the player. I can't remember who it was in the way. Was it Frimpong? I can't remember now, actually. But I thought it would get disallowed. And the problem was what it was, I don't know what it was like for you, but here a lot of the analysis was saying the goal should be given. And they were highlighting Mannion's footwork and that he wasn't going to save it. And that's probably true, but you can't draw that conclusion. He would have had to dive past the Dutch player to have a chance of saving it. And therefore, I think it was quite a straightforward one, actually. Yes, he wouldn't have saved it, but I don't think we can, when you're determining by law, I don't think you can work like that. I think you have to say, look, was he potentially impacting him? Yes. And that's what offside is. You know, are you gaining an advantage? Unlike the Lukaku one against you, Calin, which everyone's like, I would rather see that goal count, right? You're like, that's a little bit dubious.
But I think I understand the point of view from the analysis that you just mentioned, because that is the popular decision. We are not in the business of denying goals being scored. We are not in the business of seeing the game rule out goals, right? We are in the business of letting fans have their moments, celebrating, players celebrating, and it's never going to be a popular moment to disallow a goal. So definitely in that case, the popular position is give the goal, man. I mean, come on, right? So that is something which emotionally we can all understand. You, me, I think we both want those goals to stand if possible, right? We are not fans of goals being taken away from the game, but take emotion out of it, understand reasons behind, understand how the game is being judged in other games as well, and decide that things like this could happen, and take the emotions a little bit out of it, and understand there could be some points made as to why that will not stand.
Yeah, I think ultimately they got the right decision. I don't see the Dutch going right to the end of this tournament.
Yeah.
But I think tactically they might be a bit better than what I'd been giving them credit, maybe.
Yeah, also there are some limitations there as well. So when you pair them with some big names still out there that could face them, I think even playing France again in a knockout moment, I think you might see a different game,
Yeah, you
right?
might well be right.
So that's your signal to say don't judge them based on only on this game. There's going to be some big games that they have to play with some different attitude from their big names in front of them, and let's judge them when we get there.
Yeah, there was a small possibility that England could play the Netherlands. Obviously, if Austria beat the Netherlands and Netherlands finish third in the group, that's not improbable. If Austria win, that's probably about 50-50, actually, if that would happen. I wouldn't have huge fear about that, actually, playing the Netherlands.
Why is
In,
that?
in, in a weird way, I'd be more cautious of Austria and their style. And it might be that England would play through it quite well, possibly. And it might encourage England offensively to look good in terms of playing through Austria if they can beat the press. No, I wouldn't have huge concerns about the Netherlands. Clearly, the Netherlands could beat England. I'm not suggesting otherwise, but it wouldn't be a game that would. I'd almost be more concerned about Austria. I think maybe that's a perception thing as well. People will be like, "Oh, it's Austria," whereas
Yeah,
because it's the Netherlands, I think people mentally would be focused. All right, it's the Netherlands. It's a tough
exactly.
game.
But
That's where the
you
psyche is a
understand,
bit. I think.
you understand that now you have somewhere, you have the software installation that you have just finished is you are guarding yourself from complacency, making sure that you want your team to be fully focused and on it because you fear in front of an Austria, they will be a little bit more complacent and everyone
Yes.
around it will be. Now, this is
Yes.
where we are with England.
Yes. Whereas when they face the Dutch and they look across the tunnel and they see Van Dijk and
Yeah,
Depay and stuff like that, yeah.
everyone is on.
Yeah, that's where that thinking comes into it a little bit. Did you watch Georgia and the Czechs on Saturday?
Oh, yeah, and I'm happy I did it. Yeah, that
I
was quite
didn't,
a game.
unfortunately. So
Wow.
you can fill me in, but some of these statistics, 27 shots
Wow.
from the Czechs, an XG of over 3. The Georgian goalkeeper, we really like Mamadashvili of Valencia, has made 11 saves in the game. All right. Can you tell me, Calin, how Czech Republic didn't win this game?
Well, player of the match is George Mamardashvili, right? So this is the guy that actually was one of the main reasons why Czech Republic wasn't able to push through. But I think Georgia really has to get a big round of applause from everyone who really didn't see much in them. And I'm gonna be even more proud to say that my third attacker was this guy, Mikau Tadze, actually. And I
Scored
played him
again.
2 times. He scored for me 2 times every match day. He was my cheap option, let's say, because I saw them. And it was simply because I saw him play because he had a Romanian manager at Metz in France. That
Okay.
was Belloni, who maybe some of you know that he launched the career of Cristiano Ronaldo in Sporting Lisbon. Laszlo Belloni was the guy who was actually in charge of Metz, relegated in the end. Pay no mind, not an issue. He is now in the second division in France. But Mikau Tadze was a bright light, let's say, in that attack of Metz throughout the end of the season. So I was sure to say that, yeah, in Georgia, he will have a central role. I was sure that Kvaratskhelia would have a lot of attention from anyone playing Georgia. And this might be the guy that gets a little bit less attention, and he might be able to, let's say, harass some of the defenses in front of him. So, yeah, the gamble paid off. He's also the penalty taker from Georgia. That also was interesting because they had the penalty, and it was not Kvaratskhelia taking it. It was Mikau Tadze in this game. So yeah, the Czech Republic have to be really wondering how on earth we did not win this, because that is it's not a one-sided game, but it is a game that you have been able to build up so much, to create so much, that you really are frustrated in the end, like you're not getting the whole all the 3 points, 10 saves from Mamardashvili, which we know he was linked to Premier League interest,
Yeah, a lot of
right?
clubs. I think he will be again this summer. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think they really were not happy with the asking price of a 30 million or something like that around. I'm looking at Newcastle, for example, looking for options, and they might look for, I think we can agree, because we touched on it when we had a discussion about the Ukraine goal from Yaremchuk, right, for Slovakia. Dubravka has to share a little bit of the blame there. He looked like, I saw the analysis also on the English channels, let's say after the game, and they were saying, yeah, he's a bit of afraid. He's a little afraid of what's happening in front of him. It is a wonderful takedown from Yaremchuk. He really made a wonderful touch to set himself up for the goal. But Dubravka is really shielding himself for what's going to happen next when a brave keeper is really putting his body on the line. So I think when you look at keepers like this and options around European football, you might see even a national team like Georgia providing you some quality over there when you have a guy like Mamardashvili doing a worldy game
I
in
mean, I
front of the
presume
Czech
your
Republic.
pronunciation of Mamadashvili is much better than mine. As well, saying obviously Newcastle will likely have Nick Pope back, but they have been linked with goalkeepers. Chelsea feels like one here, I think, to keep an eye on. He's right age, he's 23, so it falls into the profile. He's not too old for them to have a look. I'm interested to know what your thoughts are on the strength of the Czech Republic. I obviously watched them against Portugal, very defensive, not surprising, maintain a decent threat from set plays. But I was surprised with the sheer volume of opportunities they created here. How strong or weak are they, having played this, let's say, the group favourites and the group minnows now. How do you view them?
Well, it really is depending on what you have in front of you. So I think there was a team that really understood their place in European football playing Portugal. They made the most out of it, tried to get the most out of that. And when they played Georgia, they said, well, if we're not gonna show any quality in this game, I'm not sure which is gonna be the game that we have to show our quality. So they really gave it all in this game. And I think this is actually their top level. And I think that's not enough for what should happen for really important stages, for really the moments when the big names are gonna gang up against you. Just consider Portugal and the fact that they were able to still get the job done, even with a nice impression from Czech Republic. As long as they're gonna have a name like Georgia in front of them, they might show you quality. But when they have a big name in front of them like Portugal, they will show respect and they will just try to maximize their chances when they get them, and not really be able to dictate the game. They will be the team that I think is gonna be happy to survive and to push the game for as long as possible to a competitive game. But this, I think, was the best showing that you're gonna see Czech Republic provide for the Euros.
Do you fancy them to beat Turkey? They'll probably need to do so. Although the really interesting aspect of this, I think, for later in the week, is if there's a small possibility of 2 points being enough. But I presume with Hungary winning last night now, that's extremely unlikely that 2 points would be enough. So it's highly likely the Czechs will go into the game with Turkey thinking they have to win, and it'll be the same for Georgia against Portugal. Could you see the Czechs beating Turkey?
I think that's going to be a problem for them simply because they know that they have to win,
Mm.
and it's really unlikely that a draw will get them through. Then I think knowing they have to win, it's a much more comfortable game for Turkey. Just to wait them out, just to see when they become panicked, just to exploit them. But who knows? Knowing that you have to win and actually playing a good game when you don't waste your chances and you take your moments, you can see Czech Republic going through because I'm sure they will have their moments. It all depends on how the dynamic of the game will go. Who will score the first goal? When the first goal is going to drop? Are you going to be vulnerable to counters, for example? Is Turkey going to allow you to play your dominant football? Or are they really going to harass you and not let you play any game? Yeah, I think it's hard to really predict the way the game is going to be played between Turkey and Czech Republic before the last game. Even if Turkey knows, yeah, we're through with a draw, it all depends on how they will plan to get that minimal draw that they need. Because they might say, if we let them play, have a look at Georgia. We're going to need an amazing goalkeeper if we want to survive, if we let them play the way they played against Georgia. So they're going to come up with a different plan. Like, let's not allow them to play like that. We're going to have to frustrate them definitely more.
Worth saying as well, despite the fact, obviously, the Czechs had a lot of chance against Georgia. If Saba Lobjanidze
Uh,
finishes the chance at the end to win it, oh my goodness, what a moment that was.
Yeah,
Um,
football, I think even the Euros have moments like that already. We saw them last evening, and I think we're going to touch on the Hungary game, right? So those moments are your defining moments that can change a complete destiny of a generation in football, of a country's bragging rights in football. One moment like that, and it
if he
was
scores
missed.
there, most of us remember his name, whereas because he missed, I had to check his name.
And
That's the
anyway,
reality.
yeah. If he scores, we're discussing totally differently about Czech Republic. We're not discussing about how impressive they are, about how much they produced, like we just did. We are discussing about, hey, hats off to Georgia, man.
Yeah.
Like, look at that team. So we're gonna be praising Georgia much more if that goal goes in, just to understand how an analysis completely changes after one missed or made moment.
Portugal obviously beat Turkey 3-0, which became comfortable partly because of this incredible own goal by Aki Edin, who I'd
Oh
recommended
my.
as if you want a 4.0 defender in Euro Fantasy from Turkey, that guy might be your guy. I think he's ended up with a -3, I think, because he got boots as well. I mean, it's a comical own goal. And it didn't help that obviously conceded the first not long before that as well. So then the game's essentially done at that stage. What have you made of Portugal, Calin? Seems to be kind of mixed thoughts from people in terms of whether they can go all the way or not. What's your thoughts?
I think Portugal is one of the sleeping giants, let's say, because they don't want to show off being a giant. I think it's by design that really they don't want to go out, completely destroy teams in this moment. And I think their biggest enigma has to be the role of Cristiano Ronaldo, because he has to be satisfied with what's happening around him. And they have an extra job on their hands into keeping Ronaldo happy and satisfied with his role, with his involvement, and so on. So they have a double duty job right now because they are pushing a record beating legendary footballer into having his way, meaning that as long as he makes himself available, he wants to be treated as a superstar. Um, I'm going to ask you this. Do you consider Cristiano Ronaldo a superstar compared to world football and European footballers at top of their game today?
You mean in terms of on current ability?
Exactly. Today's ability.
I mean, look, for me, unquestionably one of the greatest footballers of all time, unquestionable.
Yeah, that's history.
Would I necessarily want him leading the line for a top team now? No, perhaps not. But it's also worth saying, I think the quality in that midfield behind has enough that obviously, if you still create the right opportunities for him, let's throw it a different way. When he goes through one on one, what goes through your mind? You
Yeah,
think,
he's gone.
well, he's going to score, right? You don't think he's
Yeah.
going to miss. Let's put it a different way, right?
Yeah.
So if you still create the chances for him, and we all know why he passed, right? I take it you know, Calin.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's now highest assists record. There you go. Why did he? I can't believe he passed. Yeah, he's now highest assister in European Championship
He knows
history.
all the
Yeah,
records.
yeah, he knows the records. Yeah. So, and listen, it was the right thing to do, but it did catch us all off guard. But yeah, when he went through, and you're thinking he's got to pass it to Bruno, but you're still thinking in your mind, you're thinking, well, he'll score anyway. So I think, if you still create the right opportunities for him, you still know there's a sensational player there. I know it was against Ireland, but the finishes and in those two goals he
Yeah.
got in the friendlies before, and he still got it. So I think the concern would be when they're under duress, or if they want to go into press an opponent, he's obviously going to limit that. But he can certainly, with what they've got in the midfield area and the creativity behind, he might be the difference, Callan, in a tight game that he scores
Yeah.
scores the goal. So I can see both sides of the argument, but I wouldn't sit here and go, oh, Ronaldo's the best number 9 in the world at the moment. No,
No,
of course not.
And I think he's not a problem for Portugal. I think he's an asset for Portugal because national teams depend on small moments, on a moment of genius. He might be the one to provide those moments of genius, either from a set piece, either from, and we saw even dribbles that he can still do. I think the biggest thing to highlight coming to Ronaldo, I think this is the biggest credit to him. He might be more fit at his age that players 10 years younger than him
Oh,
without any issue.
unquestionable. And that probably
Yeah,
goes for Pepe at centre back as well, by the way.
yeah. But nevertheless, that is a sensational training program. Anything that he has to eat, sleep, prepare for his physical presence on a football pitch, no discussion on that. So no slide on that. He is top level coming to that. So as long as he keeps those fitness levels and he's able to be there in the 90th minutes or even maybe in extra time in matches, yeah, he has no issue. And I won't have anything against him being on the pitch. What I'm saying around him is that they have to take care to really keep him satisfied with what's happening around him, with the way the team plays, with the way that the attacks are developing and so on. So I think they have to be careful with that because I'm sure he knows he has to be a team player. He has to pass that ball, not because he knows he can score it, but he still wants to make the right decision. He has to pass that ball to make the right decision, not to bet on himself that I can still score this goal. So he I'm sure will be one of the enigmas that will be answered in the knockout stages. He might be the asset that Portugal has because he really didn't show um, his effectiveness outside of that pass to Bruno. So we'll see. We'll see what happens in the next phase. But I think Portugal, simply by being always one of those hungry teams that were really, you never see them complacent. You never see them like, yeah, we don't really care so much about this game. Like we're just gonna no, they're gonna frustrate you, whoever you are, and I just see them like an anaconda, just going around you, just gripping more and more, and just if you're not careful, you're gonna be running out
Kind of
of
where you
air.
go on your night outs, meeting anacondas, mate. Is there a lot of them in Romania?
No, not really. So the point is that I think Portugal is going to be really a difficult opponent for anyone who goes against them.
Yeah, I think this setup was much better as well. I played with this awkward kind of back three against the Czech Republic with Cancelo moving from left wing back into midfield, pushing Dallo really high. This with a back four felt way more natural, helped by bringing Paulinho into the team, someone who's got that real kind of defensive mindset. They replaced him later with Ruben Neves, who's obviously a really good player. And this highlights, I think, why a lot of us really fancied Portugal in the build up to the tournament was that depth in quality. You know, Leao is obviously going to be suspended for the final group game. He might have got a rest anyway. Now it's like, do they play Neto or Jota? Like, there's great options here, and there's other options as well. So I think the balance of this was better. That felt like an overthink against the Czechs, whereas this felt like something structurally that was way more suitable for the personnel that was on the pitch. So, yeah, that they're going to be a dangerous team whatever they walk into.
And when you look on the bench and you see Diogo Jota and you see that it's still Joe Felix over there, and there's loads of quality on the bench as well
Yeah,
that they
Gonçalo
can choose
Ramos.
from.
I mean,
Yeah,
to
yeah.
be fair to Ronaldo as well, Ramos came in the team. Was it Switzerland? They beat 6-1 in the World Cup in the last 16. I feel like it was. But Ramos came into the team for, didn't he, for Ronaldo. And I have to say at that point, I thought this is the end of Ronaldo on the big stage. This is the right decision. And the fact that we've fast forwarding sort of 20 months and he's back in the team again, like he's full
Yeah, yeah.
credit to him on what he's achieved.
And also,
Turkey,
yeah.
go on, sorry.
No, no, no. Also, he didn't prove himself on club level, so he struggled for PSG as well.
Yeah. Turkey obviously missed Gullo, obviously wasn't available to start. We think he wasn't available to start. Surely they didn't just leave him out. That would seem strange. But the one takeaway I think for me from the Georgia game was that I absolutely thought they would give up chances. And that certainly gives the Czechs a really good chance, I think, going into Wednesday night. As it would stand, if Turkey finish second, they'll walk into the winner of France's group. If France play Turkey in the last 16, I think they it could be a silly one because I just think they'll give up too many chances. They've got good creative players, Turkey, better
Mm.
than a lot of other teams, but they're clearly going to give up chances. And with France's pace on the counter, it might be a silly one. So I'd bear that in mind if that particular matchup happens, I think.
Yeah, well, I think Turkey has a kind of a religion of chaos when it comes to football, and I think you never know what you're getting with them. It might be that magical game that they could show off to the entire world, or you can just see them crashing and burning. So, and this game, I think, really they showed so much naivety simply by that own goal, and then yeah, they really looked lost at points even if they had some really bright moments on the attacking side. So it all depends. Where is the balance going to be? Are they going to finally maximize those opportunities in the attack, or are they going to be showing vulnerabilities in defense again? That's where I think the um, uh, the, the definition of Turkey is going to be, even in the last game of the group.
Let's move on to Belgium, Romania from
Oh
Saturday
yeah.
night. Firstly, before we do Romania, what would you make of Belgium?
Well, I think Belgium is one of those teams that come with a big name and big expectations. And I think they really overestimate a little bit how easy it's going to be for them because they look around, they see so high caliber players, really valuable players, and they see we're gonna get the job done simply by look around us, look at the players we have. And I think at some points they've been really unlucky because I think they played enough to really have 6 points after 2 games, not to really have just 3 points. So that's why I think our judgment of Belgium might be a little bit skewed because we think they didn't do enough. And I think they did enough. I really think they did enough, but they really are on the unlucky side to champion a goal scorer that really becomes now a meme of disallowed goals, right?
I mean,
So
Lukaku has had more goals disallowed because of VAR than I think some teams have had in shots in the tournament, hasn't he? I
yeah,
mean, incredible to have 3 goals disallowed because of such marginal things. And
exactly.
when he was wheeling away when he'd scored against you, I was thinking that's going to be close again, definitely. But it's unlucky. And I thought he actually played really well, Lukaku. He was a handful
Yeah,
all game.
that's one thing. From if you discuss with other number nines playing the game, looking at what Lukaku is giving to his team on the pitch, even creating spaces for people that's things that you don't see, but number nines in the game see those movements that he has. He really gives a lot to his team simply by dragging away players and creating spaces for other people to jump into those open spaces. So really, I think he made good runs, and I think he might be really a subject of jokes right now or ridicule for look at what he's doing or no.
It's a
Honestly, I think
hangover as well, though, isn't it? The Croatia game in the last World Cup, we did miss 2 really bad chances. There wasn't anything on Saturday you'd look at and go, "Oh, he's missed a sitter there," or just wouldn't go in for him.
yeah. So I think he's doing the right things, and I think once again we're gonna discuss the disallowed goal with that small margin that always is gonna be there, and we've grown so tired in the last years that we've become now. And I think the best term that I've heard, I think, is it who has the female, let's say, referee?
Oh, the American
Yeah, yeah,
analyst, I
the
forget her name, but
Christina,
yeah, she's good.
Christina.
Yeah,
Yeah, right. And she said we've become forensic football. I think
yeah.
that is actually the word to use right now for offside. It cannot become forensic. It
Well,
really
it's
cannot
too
become.
late. It's already out, mate.
No, I mean we have to move away from that. It is not too late. It is the rule today, but it's still a chance that it might change for the future because the technology is
I
there.
think
And
but offside's black and white. We're talking about, we might talk about the Scotland penalty incident. Some will think it's a penalty, some won't. We've spoken about the Dutch disallowed
Mhm.
goal. Some will think that should stand, some shouldn't. But offside, unfortunately, it is going to be forensic because it's black and white. What I don't understand though on this particular goal, we've all seen the frame and you can see how close it is with like his knee and his toe. He's fractionally offside. But what I don't understand is like forgive me, I forget who the remaining
Yeah,
defender was, but where the line was, it wasn't even like on the end of his shirt. It was like halfway through
yeah.
his shirt, and I didn't really understand that. So it's almost
No,
so then I'm looking at him going, so where are you drawing the line from? If this is 100% accurate, where are you actually drawing the line from?
yeah.
Um,
So what I'm saying is that it's going to be forensic, but to the point where it's not going to take away every advantage of the attacker. I think it's going to skew a little bit to something that is going to allow the small advantage to the attacker. I'm not sure how they're going to change it. I'm not really sure. I think that Wenger rule of the clear space between attacker and that is crazy. And I think that's going to completely blow the world of
this is
football, the
this is one
game.
of the rare things where me and Mourinho really agree on something.
Yeah, so I don't agree with that. That it was is going to be insane because that is a lot of advantage there if you give that much to the attacker. But I think they're gonna agree on something in between because this cannot be. And every attacker in every studio is going to tell you that is zero advantage for anyone. That is not an advantage. That is just play on and let the boys really carry out the
You
game
can't though.
because
You've introduced the tech. That's it now.
yeah, but yeah, you can also use the tech to make it a little bit more, let's say, friendly, not so
Also, as
strict.
a few of us were keen to point out on our Slack community over the weekend as well, I saw quite a lot of, it only took 46 seconds. Now, don't get me wrong, that's a massive improvement on waiting 3 minutes or so. But if we're happy with 46 seconds before a goal is disallowed for offside, I suggest you've all been kidded because it's all been so bad for so long. I wouldn't be happy with 4.6 seconds personally. So I
Yeah.
don't, let's not go with the narrative. Oh, it's quick. 40, sit there and count
It's
46 seconds and do nothing with your life while
yeah,
you're
yeah.
or while you're celebrating. No, it's not quick.
No, the
It's
word is
quicker.
quick. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
it. Yeah,
that's
that's
it.
it.
It's quicker because it couldn't be any slower. I think on Belgium, I thought Kevin De Bruyne was great, by the way. It's the best I'd seen him
Yeah.
in quite some time. And Belgium started with a real purpose and intensity. And it obviously helped from their first attack where they showed that intensity. Yuri Tielemans obviously come into the team, scored a really good goal, which was well assisted by Lukaku. They played with Luke Bacchio, who's a player I'm not hugely familiar with,
Yeah.
who really direct runner on the right hand side, and obviously Doku on the left, so kind of 1v1 specialists in the wide areas, quite similar to what we saw from Spain against Italy last week with Williams and Yamal being really direct in those areas. I think that helped them rather than a player like Trossard, who's a completely different profile. And he missed a couple of real big opportunities to assist a couple more late
Yeah.
in the game. But I think my big takeaway on Belgium is clearly at the top end, you're going to need to be, whoever you are, you're going to need to defend well because of this quality at the top end. But I absolutely think that anyone will create chances. And even within this, Calin, your team had some big moments here.
Yeah.
And a little bit on trend, so forgive you for the catfishing, which a lot of it did come from Belgian mistakes as well, and you waiting on the opportunities, but they gave them up. I think they're weak defensively, Belgium.
Yeah, I think they really had moments of vulnerability as well. And I think um, so we're continuing to discuss about Belgium right now, not really on
Yeah, go for it.
Romania, right?
Go for it.
So what I'm seeing in Belgium is it's once again a team that has a lot of potential. They're really going to depend on how much De Bruyne is still going to be able to deliver, meaning that he's going to be the maestro right over there, and he's going to really create some spaces and really create some lines for his team to fully develop into a fully attacking team. No problem, as long as they can stay on side, right? Now, the question is defensively, just like you said, you cannot allow Romania to have those moments, because if you allow Romania to have those moments, what are big teams going to do to you? So that was my biggest issue, because if we jump now on the Romanian side, I'm really, my surprise is that we are able to develop some of the moments in games that I was not seeing our team able to exploit spaces in such an efficient way. So I'm more of used to seeing a ball that you know where it should go, but it doesn't go there. That's what you're used to, right? Like, we don't have the quality to put the ball exactly where it needs to be. I've seen Romania put the ball exactly where it needs to be for a lot of times during this tournament. And I think that is the biggest surprise. And a compliment to those players that they can show moments of quality to put their let's say that their teammates in good positions by one really good ball. We've had some players delivering some really good balls, and that is a compliment to those players that maybe we didn't believe they had that ability, so polished and so ready to be put in play against, let's say, on the biggest stage in major tournaments, right? So that is a compliment to the team that we can actually provide those quality moments. Now, discussing Romania, it is a much more complex discussion, simply because what happened with Belgium here, conceding a goal in the first minute or second minute, let's say, right, didn't happen with Ukraine. And there's nothing telling us that if the Belgians don't score for 30 minutes, we might not get a lucky moment on our side as well, because that's how we play. And we discussed before the tournament, and I was saying to you, Romania is not going to open. Even if it's 1-0 down, 2-0 down, Romania is going to play their game, and they're going to really try to exploit the good moments that they're going to be creating from time to time. It's exactly what we saw. The change, I think, in the Ukraine game was I was blown away by how much we had the initiative in big moments in that game. Like, what is happening? Where is Ukraine? What happened to them? Where did they disappear? And only when it was 3-0 that we really just, okay, now you can play, for example. But Romania was playing such a, I would say, proud football.
Incisive at times,
Yeah,
mate.
proud football to their fan base, like make us proud. And I'm going to highlight this because Romanian football has such a big pain from, let's say, has been carrying such a big pain since 1994, that golden generation that we like to call it, because that's how we call it, the golden generation. We didn't win the gold with them, but
Neither
to
did ours,
us,
by the way, mate. But
yeah, but it felt like that was the top generation that we could expect the team and the country to provide in terms of football. Like, you made us dream. So there was such a high potential, because you have to understand there is no other sport in Romania as popular as football. That is the number one sport. And it has been such a waste for so many years that there was such a lack of investment, such a lack of attention paid to sport in general and to football in particular, that you have really allowed that big potential to waste away. And you've seen a blasé country going from tournament to tournament, not qualifying, not qualifying, maybe qualifying, but crashing out, not qualifying, not giving any proud moments to the fan base. So I'm one of those fans that feel that has been disengaged to the team and to the football national team simply because we feel we've been disrespected from those governing football in Romania. But there is something really important that maybe I realized watching this game with Ukraine. I'm still there. We are still there. Whoever was disengaged, whoever was disillusioned, we are never walking away because we love football. And you can win us back. You can get us back. You just need to show us proud moments, quality. Give us moments like that, and we're going to be right there supporting you. We're going to be right back, being proud, cheering on the national team. But you've been really disappointing us for so many years, like 30 years of disappointment, that we've grown so estranged to moments like that. And so I've been emotionally linked to the moment of Ukraine because I've seen you noticing the guy in the crowd, right, ready to cry.
Oh yeah. I said that on
Yeah,
the podcast. An amazing
yeah,
moment.
absolutely amazing. And what I'm saying in potential and in love for football, love for the national team, is exactly what you mentioned. There is no other sport more popular in Romania than football. We just need it to be taken care of. We just need it to not be in the hands or governed by, let's say, Targaryen Mad King vibes like Gigi Becali, right? We need to move away from that. We want to go into the quality space of football. And this was, to me, the Ukraine game was the entry visa for a generation to the good world of football. What do we do there? How we're going to present ourselves once we're there? The Belgian game was not a disappointment to me because we played good football with a worst team in Ukraine, and we've played worst football now, so worst football against a really good team in Belgium. I'm not disappointed in that. I'm perfectly okay with the way that we presented ourselves because I'm not crazy enough to request them to dominate Belgium, right? What I want is for them to maybe maximize those moments that they can build up. Because even 94, if we look back, the Argentina game where Romania played and won 3-2 against
The best game
Argentina.
at that tournament, by the way.
Could be, yeah, arguably can be one of the best games for sure. And even that game, it was a counter-attacking team. It was not a dominating team. We were not going to blow away Argentina. We were really maximizing our moments, and that's how you can win against a, let's say, world number 2, which was Argentina at the time, because they lost the final in 90 with Germany, with West Germany. So this is Romania. This is how you should look at Romania, with a huge emotional potential, let's say, huge emotional backing, because I'm proud to see 30,000 Romanian named in the stands and 20,000 Belgians for that game. The love is there.
You could
just
see the
need to,
color, the amount of
yeah,
yellow in the ground.
yeah. So the love is there. We just need a team to make us proud. That is all.
I think that's great, mate. And that's probably a lot of English people listening to this going, I don't feel that proud about England at the moment in comparison. But it's really nice as well because obviously conversations we've had offline and looking back, why did you catfish us and tell us that Romania was shit and rely on moments? Well, you only have to look back to the friendly results before the tournament, 0-0 with
Yeah.
Liechtenstein, 0-0 with Bulgaria, lost to Colombia, 1-1 with Northern Ireland. It's no wonder that expectations were quite low. And listen, if you can support your football team, I don't need to ask you if you feel proud in Romania right now because it's already spoke volumes from what you've said, mate. If you can feel that and belief, you don't expect to win this tournament, but
Yeah.
you just need to, whenever it ends, even if that's this week, which is very unlikely, by the way, that you just look back on it and go, proud of that. That gave us something to. You said the Ukraine games opened doors for a generation, mate. That's
Yeah.
that's brilliant. So no, that's really, really good. And you are highly likely to qualify. I mean, essentially, the only way really you can go out here is if you lose and Belgium lose. From my maths,
Yeah.
that's it.
And also we need to lose heavily. So
But if you lose and
we
Belgium lose, then you're both on 3 points,
you
and
mean not for the third? Yeah, for
then
from
then
the
you finish bottom, unfortunately, don't
exactly,
you?
exactly. So if we finish bottom, then yeah, definitely that is. But on the third spot, if we land on that third position, I think we're through without any issues because I think we really are well positioned in terms, as long as it's not a disaster happening, right, against Slovakia in terms of, um, um, let's say, how many goals we concede. But I think we're going to be just fine based on even losing that game and being a narrow loss or something like that. As long as you land on that third position, we should be fine. However, I just want to highlight that Romania, to me, I'm always expecting a disappointment. But the way that I'm looking at things right now, it is, yeah, I'm ready to be pleasantly surprised. That is actually how what's changed. Yeah,
Yeah, you'll actually be upset. Like if you went out now, you'd actually be upset. Rather than in the past, you kind of like apathy or
yeah,
anger, you generally
yeah,
be upset. Yeah, no, I
yeah.
understand what you're saying.
However, once we move past the group stage and Romania is there, I'm only going to take each game to whatever it can bring. So never expecting miracles, never demanding much. It's only like you've already exceeded expectations from what we've been able to provide. And we've left a good impression simply because there's no scandals around Romania. I like that the fan base is being so positively highlighted in the community, and whenever it's expressed, like, yeah, just a rocking atmosphere, supporting the country, and so on. I like the fact that it's good vibes around Romania. Now it's up to us to keep that momentum and
Yeah,
to give it back to the fan base exactly as it's lived right now as a really really good moment.
oh, that's brilliant, mate. If you did play England in the last 16,
Yeah,
what chance would you give yourself a victory?
all chances. Simply because we're going to discuss England in the end, let's say how it's viewed also from outside England and so on. People are going to look at England and say, if there's one country that we can frustrate, that's the one. That is the one.
Brilliant, great.
Yeah. So, and it's we're going to be discussing the reasons why I'm saying that, but you're going to understand much more when we discuss England.
All right, we'll get there very shortly. Let's wrap up the games with coverage of last night. I'd messaged you a couple of hours before kickoff and said, "Are you going to watch Germany?" And you were like, "No, no, no. We got this bit of
Nah.
this rivalry going on with Hungary. I want to watch them." And
Yeah.
and I was thinking, shall I take one for the team and watch Germany, Switzerland? And I was like, no, same thing. I was like, I've got to watch Scotland for similar. And I really wanted Scotland to go through actually. Um, there was I was on my edge of my seat watching the end of it after this absolute first 90 minutes of football that I could only describe as hook tour. And then finished with this incredible final 10 minutes. It might as well just turned up and played the final 10 minutes and
Yeah.
gone for each other. The naivety, I think, unfortunately, I'm being really kind here, to Scotland's finish of that football match was staggering. And on that alone, they deserve to go out.
Well, can you not find any excuse for that ending of the game simply by the chaos that now if we're drawing, we're both out?
But it wasn't in for Scotland. For Hungary had to score. That was clear.
Yeah,
It's not improbable that Scotland would have gone through on 2 points. I know you don't want to rely on it,
yeah.
but it was a possibility. You're literally relying on Spain, Italy, Portugal, and Turkey winning football matches. I mean, it's not that improbable that 2 points could have been enough.
Yeah, but I think they're really considered based on all the calculations that we need to go for it. And we really, the draw is going to keep us both out. To me, surprising was Hungary, for example, starting the game because they really were the team that needed to win. So for them, there was no other choice, right? They had to win. They were not playing like a team that had to win that game. They were playing like a team that looked like 45 minutes will be enough to win this game. So they were waiting the Scots really to give all they can give, and then we're gonna see how it plays out in the second half. And credit to Hungary because you remember when we are discussing, let's say, traumatic moments on football pitches, right? We can see the Luton game, for example, totally abandoned, right? We cannot play on. Um, Seeing your fellow footballer, fellow teammate, and so on, seeing those traumatic moments and carrying on and being able to play, that is huge credit to the team, to the players, to everyone around it. I'm not sure how we can judge it because, of course, that moment was scary enough to decide that a question should be asked if we're still playing on or not. Not sure how it was viewed from your side, from your
Look,
end.
as soon as it happens, and unfortunately, again, they were showing too many pictures on the TV. But when you
Yeah,
know they start crowding around the player and stuff, and you're all thinking of Ericsson and stuff like that, and you think, like, surely not again. And for me, I've spoken about this before. I was there with the Mwamba incident at White Hart Lane. It's like what goes through your mind isn't really worth discussing at this point. But I'd certainly take on board what you're saying in terms of the credit for the Hungary players
yeah.
to continue. There
No
is probably
pause.
a little element of knowing that they had to win a football match and still having pride for their nation and the people that are there, etc., etc. But yeah, it's a scary moment. What we won't know, Calin, is unlike say with Ericsson, who I think was unresponsive when obviously he left the
Mm,
pitch. The players might have known that he was conscious when he left the pitch. We don't know that sort of thing. So you might go,
yeah,
okay, at least he's conscious. I think he is stable and in a decent condition. I think they've said he's got
yeah, yeah, yeah.
several broken bones in his face.
Guys
Was what
going to
was what I'd
surgery.
read.
Yeah,
So,
cheekbone surgery and so on.
but
But nevertheless, Bornabas Varga, that is actually his name, because that is the pronunciation for Hungarian names, Bornabas Varga. So
thank you.
that's yeah. So all thoughts and prayers to him because that is definitely
Absolutely.
scary moment. And once again, we have to highlight credit to the team because there was no break in play. There was no pause for the team to get good news to really get themselves up again for playing the game. We remember with Ericsson, it was a break in play. Teams decided to come back and play the game, but at least you come back with a mindset and discussing with all your teammates how the mindset
I think
is going to
Denmark were
be.
forced, it's worth saying. They were forced,
Yeah,
really. They
well,
were basically
well,
told play or you lose. So
yeah, so that's a different discussion. Nevertheless, we still had moments when players could be around each other and discuss with one another to really understand the mindset into going on the pitch. There was nothing like that here. The players had to move on, had to take that out of their mind and really play the game without any break, without any pause to recollect yourself. So for me, really, all credit to the Hungarian team, simply because that was really courageous to to play that way. The end
it's worth saying as
and
well. You don't know what the impact is on the Scottish players as well. I think it's worth saying. No one wants to see that, right? Everything that's
yeah,
happening in the
yeah,
moment,
sure.
the football match is gone. Um, the irony in this one was there wasn't a lot going on before the incident actually happened. It was I mean, Hungary, as you said, were really happy just to let Scotland come on to them. It's difficult. If I said to any Scottish fan, there's going to be a game at this tournament, you're going to have over 60% of the ball in a half. They'd have assumed they was either losing and a team was sitting in, or the opposition had a player sent off. I should imagine, but within that, they created zero XG in that first half, not a
Yeah.
single shot. And I think the efforts they did have were only like very, very late in the game. The Grant Hanley goal, which I'm not even sure if it would have stood. It is worth saying it's certainly controversial on the moment with Stuart Armstrong. It was another one when it happened. I thought it was offside. I've seen the replay back this morning. He is onside. So there's every case to say that they should have had a penalty there. What I don't understand with Armstrong in that moment is waits, shoot, shoot.
To
It's
me,
just like he's looking for the penalty, isn't it?
well, to me, when you have that kind of allowed domination, right? When your opposition is allowing you to play your game and to develop whatever you can develop in a game, to me, it really becomes much more difficult, and I'm much more reluctant to give excuses to managers or to teams looking for a penalty decision.
Yeah.
Sure enough, you might get it. You might have deserved to get the decision, but you had all that game on a silver platter for you. If you can play, if you can develop your game and you have the opposition inviting you to play your game, if that game relies on one penalty decision, you have sold yourself short. So, yeah, I can agree that it might be heartbreaking for our Scottish followers, let's say, whoever. Whomever would be watching this, that they might really feel like that was the moment where we might still be alive in this tournament. But I'm sure all of them understand that they should have produced more and they should have.
Oh, I don't think it's not a narrative that's being sold of, listen, you can all in the
Yeah, yeah,
moment say it should be a penalty, but I don't think, I'm not seeing many Scottish fans say, oh, it should have been a penalty. That's why we lost. I mean, the
yeah.
biggest failure of all in this game was that exactly what you said. It was on a plate. In that final 10 minutes of injury time, there were 4 or 5 Hungary players that had given up on any form of idea of
Absolutely.
defending. And at that point, how honestly, with them having to score, how Scotland did not manage to create a big chance in those 10 minutes, I don't know. I don't
It
know
is.
how they've not managed it.
It is staggering because you have to understand Steve Clark had to prepare his team exactly for this scenario, knowing that the Hungarians need the win. So the one plan that you should have worked the most on should have been when they become desperate, what should we do? And that is absolutely staggering that they look like they were shocked to see a team going for it when your entire strategy should rely on a desperate team that at some point, maybe not the beginning, maybe not the first half, maybe not 60 minutes, 70, 80, whatever, maybe they're going to give it all in the last 10 minutes, but they're going to do that. Are you not prepared for that moment? That's the actual discussion.
The decision making at the end of that game was bad. I mean, they've also left themselves 1-on-1 for the corner at the end. I think, look, it's literally his last kick of the game. You're either going to score
Yeah.
or you're out. I kind of get that. Although my thought process, as I already said, was I completely get going for the winning goal, but don't lose it, as the draw might still give you that extra game, which, like, for the Scots, because they've never got out of any group, would have been so huge. It would have been an awful few days relying on those results to go their way, but I don't think it was improbable. And when they broke, I knew Hungary were going to score. It's just stupid, stupid, stupid was what was coming out of my mouth.
Yeah.
And I'm not even sure I reflect on it about, oh yeah, Hungary deserved this. Or I mean, frankly, it was two crap teams who for 90 minutes weren't largely interested in playing a football match. And it was like going into added time, you just give all the players a line of coke and that was it. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean,
There was just high energy at the end.
and with all honesty and respect to the two fan bases, whoever is watching us from Scotland or from Hungary, the outside world of football watching that game might have had the impression, yeah, both these deserve to go out. If the way they're playing, yeah,
Yeah.
they should go home, both
Yeah.
of them.
Yeah. Any neutral would have watched it out and said, yeah, do you know what? These two teams, I don't want either team to score because
I mean,
I don't want to watch them again either.
it
By
just
the
means
way,
you don't have
I'm
something.
not
Yeah.
insinuating that anyone was on drugs, by the way.
No, 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 no.
Just for clarity.
So it's not having something against them. It's just by accepting that teams that present themselves like that, maybe not having so many friends in the world of football by the way that we're playing the game.
And Germany managed a very late draw for Nicholas Fulkrug's brilliant headed goal in added time, which is interesting. I was flicking over now and again, Calin, on the statistics. You would say, yep, probably Germany deserves something out of that. on what I watched and what I did catch of it, I thought Switzerland set up a brilliant counter-attacking display and had Germany seriously, seriously concerned. I was reading some very daft stuff last night about if Germany don't win, England should throw the game against Slovenia. They said, have you watched England? We ain't in no position to be like, oh, we'd rather play them or rather play them. We've already discussed this. Teams like Austria, maybe Romania, will be a real challenge for England here. So there was some concern I saw from English contingents of, oh, Germany's now going to be on our side of the draw and all that, and this, and England got to focus on themselves first and foremost. But it's possibly more of a relief for Germany here, or is it? Would they have been not bothered to get the result here? It certainly looks bothered from what I saw of it.
Well, yeah, they would have looked bothered because otherwise they would not put their best team on the pitch. So, for example, if
Yeah,
they, yeah, I mean, they played really their best 11, or let's say the 11, based on whatever they played in the first two games, that looked like they won the result. That they are really not accepting that there's going to be a yeah, throwaway game or something like that. They wanted that, and of course they wanted because their fan base didn't have a lot of expectation before the tournament, and they need to win that fan base over. I have a lot of close connections to Germans simply by profession, let's say. I'm close enough to the German fan base in football. And I can tell you, all the discussions I had, they really didn't have even the vibe they had in 2006 with Klinsmann before the World Cup played in their country. So they felt like, who knows, it might be a surprise. In 2006, that was the feeling. But this time, they really were not expecting very much. Maybe because we're playing at home, something will happen. But outside of that, they really weren't confident in what this tournament is going to bring them. They felt like, yeah, we're leaking in too many places to be able to scrape a team together that's gonna make us proud.
it's
But I
interesting.
think so. I think at least this team has been able to give them a little bit of assurance, like never, never count us out, because
Oh, no one ever counts the Germans out anyway.
yeah, yeah,
Not in his country, I can assure you.
yeah. So I think at least their fan base have that feeling again, like they cannot count us out. We're still a team that you have to play football to win against, and I think they have that. They won that with their fan base.
Switzerland, dangerous team though. Dan Doy scored a lovely goal, came back into the team. He's part of the Bologna team that's obviously done really well in Serie A this year. This interesting network, but they move Arbisha in from left wing back into central midfield areas that then allows Rodriguez, who had so often been a left back throughout his career, push on from left sided centre back. There's some interest in them, and they've become a way more ball dominant team than what we'd historically associated with Switzerland. And I mean, it's like last night. I'm thinking, I'm not sure I do want to see England play Switzerland in a quarter final. I think that would be tricky. And Switzerland are obviously going to play highly Italy or Croatia. It could be Albania. But even if it is Italy, Switzerland will give Italy a game in the last 16. We've seen historically, this is a difficult team to beat.
Well, I think Switzerland is of the same ilk as you could see, maybe I mean, you talked about Austria before, right? So the same kind of dangerous opponent when they would be favorites, you can expect them to fail more. When they're outsiders, you can expect them to frustrate you, right? So, for example, Romania played two times Switzerland in the qualifying group, right? They didn't manage to beat Romania, and Romania beat them in Bucharest. So it didn't mean that the Switzerland was the weaker team. It was they were really playing as the bigger team in
Yeah, I
both
get it.
those games, but they are not able to pull through matches like that. With big names, they really feel more comfortable. They are in the same type of position, like now we're comfortable. We don't need to be the favorites in this game. And if we are careful enough, if we are really doing our job man by man, every guy on the pitch, we might get the result here because they are really schooled in big leagues, right? So they have players with a lot of experience. They do not play football in crazy leagues or something. They either played in big leagues or they currently play in big leagues. Now, that's a huge potential over there to really be able to manage a game. So I think that's why you might feel not comfortable facing teams like that, because you know that's a school of football that as long as they're not favorites, they're more than ready to frustrate.
Yeah, I suspect we're going to see a few surprises in this last 16. Actually, before we finish, Calin, let's talk England then. I'm just keen to get your perspective from overseas. I mean, here at the moment, it's like crisis. We're on 4 points, top of the group. It's in our hands, but it feels like the world's coming to an end throughout the media and much of the fan base. And clearly, it's not been enjoyable watching England in these two games. But then we'll have one good game, and everyone here think we're going to win the tournament, etc. What's the overseas view of England?
So I think I need to make a short introduction to understand where I'm coming from with this comment, right? Because, like I said in the beginning, we are advertising ourselves as the unofficial embassy of English football in Romania. So you need to understand there will not be a louder voice ready to defend England than this one and
Okay.
than my shows. Just to understand that you have uh, whatever can be defended about England, you will have us as your emissaries, right?
You're our guardians in Romania, are you?
Exactly.
Thank you.
I'm true ambassadors in Romania. So as long as we can find an excuse, we will use it. Just to understand that.
But
However,
you're shit.
however, you're not making it easy for us, meaning that the ironies around its coming home, which I know it's been discussed in the last year since this became a thing about its coming home. It's been always discussed that this might have a quite a little bit of entitlement linked to it, right? Like this is home. Everything else is whatever. It's coming home. It means finally it's where it has to be. There is a little bit of entitlement over there, and we should allow that due to being inventors of the game. So let's allow that. We can scrape past that. However, the ironies around it is that it always looks like 2 years between major tournaments. Okay, minus the COVID years because that was a little bit different. But 2 years or 4 years of courtship is like expecting it to come home. It is always an irony of trying to convince the girl to go home with you, and there's always another guy in the bar going home with her. It's like for 2 years you are discussing, bragging, charming, doing everything. Everyone allows it. It's a really nice discussion. It's a good feeling. Like it fills you with emotion and it fills you with warmth. Like, yeah, it's gonna happen, guys. It is gonna happen. And we discussed. You also believe it's going to happen, James. That it's coming home, right?
I don't at the
Another,
moment.
another guy is taking the girl home and it's not you. And these ironies are always there, even in Romania. Us as fans of England and supporting England and really promoting England are the ones being ridiculed. Like, yeah, so everyone has a chance except you guys because you always find a way to screw it up. So that is the way that the outside look, let's say, just by banter levels, is always expressed like, yeah, okay, so England, even if they play Romania, they're going to crash out. England, they're going to find a way to screw it up. And I think now we should move into the really outside banter world discussion. Like, okay, ironies are there. There's always, you feel like you're such a big name, but you always fail to deliver and so on. So let's move into discussing national football, I think, at national team level. I think we have to admit, first of all, that this engagement from footballers to the national team has been gradually going down. It is.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, national teams compared to club football
Oh, okay, I understand.
has been losing ground tournament by tournament, year after year. This club football, compared to national team football, is definitely a battle lost by national teams. That means you can see it whenever players are starting to dodge call-ups, right, in the qualifying stages. You can see that maybe even in the group stages, not all of them are ready to break their nose like Mbappe did. He didn't intend that, by the way. That's
No, he
how it
definitely
turned out.
didn't.
Yeah, but they're not really so keen to really get in the group stage to give it all, right? They're gonna save maybe themselves because the season is long, because the games are in a higher number than ever before. They're gonna really be careful about the way that they can engage so that they can still have something to give in the decisive stages of a tournament. So I think that plays a role into the way that we see teams in group stages. Then again, I think we should move the discussion to national team coaches, because I think this hasn't been touched enough. But I think when you discuss world-class coaches, we are only discussing world-class footballers. It looks like we're moving away from a discussion about the coaches on those benches. World-class footballers are rarely managed at national team level by world-class managers because
Correct.
they are not there. They are in club football. They will not be there.
Yep.
National teams benches look like they are made up between coaches that want to have a jump start in their career to really elevate themselves into club football to a big position in club football, or retirement home. Maybe you have a chance for somebody who is close to the end of their coaching career to say, you know what, I'll take them on. You know what? Because I think that is a fair assessment. Because if I ask James, do you think England plays the same football with Pep Guardiola or with Jurgen Klopp? And if
Uh,
your answer is definitely
well,
no,
clearly not.
right? So then it means you have a coach problem.
But
You
it
have a
doesn't even.
manager
I
problem.
spoke about this with, say, Ange. I used a reference on one of the pieces I did last week about thinking about it. Say, if Ange Postecoglou was England manager, and the conclusion I come to was, sure, we'd all enjoy it a lot more, but we'd also probably get done on transition quite badly in a tournament like this. That was the conclusion that I came to. And again, it's probably a little psyche of trying to defend Gareth, but you're absolutely right in terms of the quality of coaches. And there are obviously some really good coaches and managers in international nations, no question of that. But the top ones, why would Guardiola, even if he was, if he wanted to do the Spanish job, for example, say he was offered it, he wants the day to day. That's the big thing. He's essentially, it's 2 years of work, and you know that if you don't get that penalty decision or someone slices a clearance at one moment and it goes wrong, it's all defined on the result. I think that's a massive difference between international and club. So sorry to use it, but we'll use Arsenal as a reference here, right? You can see the progression. It's ended with nothing, but you can see the progression of what they're doing. Even to use our team, Calin, right? Has it been better watching Tottenham this year? Yeah, okay, we can see the progression. It's not hit a results level yet. International football, you're judged on one thing only if you're a major nation, and it's the result. Let's be honest, England could have completely dominated Serbia and Denmark, played really good football. And if they'd got spiked on the counter twice and lost 1-0 twice, or maybe lost 3-2 twice, for example, people, oh, so enjoyable watching England. No, it would just be a disaster based on the result. So ultimately, you're judged on that. Whereas I think in club football, you can put so much more into your philosophies, etc. Julian Nagelsmann spoke really recently about, like, I'm not going to give these players, of which there's a number that he's worked with at club level, I'm not going to give them the information that I would give to a club team. I think that was a great insight to say it's overload. We don't work with these players for long enough. So there's that as well. As a coach, you can't implement your ideas in the same way to international football as you would over a longer process period of club football. Gareth Southgate's been manager for England for what, 8 years now? In terms of matches versus club, it's the equivalent of like 18 months worth, basically, in terms of matches and time spent with the team.
Yeah, so then it means player power has never been more present at a national team level at this moment. Because when you don't have highly established national team managers, it really means that world-class players managed by world-class managers at club level will have a look on their national team like, okay, so I'm supposed to what? There's going to be maybe a little bit of disrespect over there, considering that I know what a world-class manager should look like, or how he should express and how he should prepare games. You are not it, mate. So pipe it down. Maybe that's how we're going to see a lot of national teams showing a little bit of disrespect, or showing a little bit of it's more about me, or I know better, or really world-class players could impose themselves more at national team level. So that's there as well, so that you have to consider, and that's not saying it's good, bad. You just need to admit that that is the state of things right now in world football, when you look at club football compared to national team football. Now, after that, looking at Southgate, the issue is, and the way that it's viewed from the outside, is that this is a guy that is never going to allow you to play total football. And the way it's seen is that he doesn't deserve to have players of that quality, simply by how little he will allow them to play football, how he will stress control so much. He will stress really to be negative when he could let them be positive. And that's the view from the outside. Like, this is a chicken scenario, let's say, where you're way too scared about what could happen to you compared to how you should make others be afraid of what you could do to them. So that's a big difference. Into the view from outside is that Southgate doesn't deserve to have players of that quality under his command, because he should be allowing them to express themselves as big footballers much more than he does.
Okay. Is the general consensus that England are one of the favourites or not?
Uh,
Are they in the second tier of nations, if you will? Or is the belief there like, no, England are a stronger contender as anyone for this tournament?
Yes. So the belief is that the quality is there.
Okay.
England have the quality to go all the way. There's always that asterisk to say, but they're gonna find a way to screw it up. That is the
We know
way
that
that.
better.
So once again, I am the guy that is expecting to demolish those myths, right? To really go against those expectations, really prove everyone wrong that one time maybe it doesn't happen. But at this moment, I don't think it's a tragedy, because you have decided as a national football association to really go with Southgate. It means you are accepting his game plan. It means get behind them, support them, let them play their game, and let them show their hand. Like, let's see where it will take them. But at the moment, you have no better option than that. Maybe there will be an option after the tournament. Is there any reason why right now you should demolish that team? Allow them to finish their adventure, allow them to finish their campaign, and then draw the line to say, are you really fussed about a draw with Denmark if you're really going all the way? Nobody
No,
cares.
I mean, we'd predicted pre-tournament that exactly this would happen. We draw
Yeah,
with Denmark and the whole nation would lose its shit. However, I also described it as saying I thought this would happen pre-tournament, and yet I still feel like shit. And I'd prepared myself for it because it was bad. It's the reality.
yeah,
It was nothing enjoyable in terms of watching England last Thursday. I give the Serbia game a little bit of mitigating because I think something really unexpected happened in the second half of that game. It wasn't an excuse for the way England played against
yeah,
Denmark. And I watched bits of the Germany game last night, and yes, the pitch still looked a bit shit, but both teams played on it. I'm not having it. The pitch is an excuse. England have got to be better than that. The only other thing I would take in, and I think it's a really good point you made about saving the physical aspects for the knockout stage. It's something Harry Kane spoke about.
hmm,
I don't know if it was after England beat Germany or Ukraine in the last Euros, because it's same thing, and he's getting it again now. How many times have we been here? Drop Harry Kane. And it was happening the same the last Euros. We're like, he's not fit, he's not playing well. And actually, Kane's looked much better in these first two games than he looked in the first two games for England at the last European Championships, actually. And he said about learning himself through his experience of saving himself through the group stage to make sure
yeah,
that he was at 100% to hit the knockout stage. And I do have an awareness of that in my mind, that something might happen here and suddenly they might start playing. Plus, when we play better opponents, this is the irony. When we play better opponents, this cautious approach we have might well set us up to have benefit. It might.
yeah. Well, yeah, but also discussing Kane. How do you feel about this counter-offensive that he has come against pundits right now? Like, you've worn this shirt, you
I mean,
didn't win
I
anything.
literally said this last Monday about the exact words I used, no, not exact words, paraphrasing, was that people who have played for England should know better in
Yeah.
terms of, because what they were saying, the discussion I had with Suj was about, they wanted Kane to stay up front, use him as an out ball, and I'm like, yeah, you guys failed because you couldn't keep the ball playing for England, and it's almost like it's archaic in terms of tactics. Understand what's happening differently in the modern game. I used it more as a tactical reference. I have no problem with that, and also as well, if likes of Kane and Declan Rice has also spoke out. If it's creating a bit of a siege mentality where they feel like people are against them, I don't actually think that's a bad thing.
Yeah,
If
yeah,
it's
yeah.
if it's if it's motivating, I mean,
Yeah.
they can use that for good, I think.
Those are the 2 points which I wanted to stress out. First of all, media criticism can be definitely a positive outcome on whatever happens on the pitch, right? Prove them wrong. Really become more ambitious. Show what you can do. Shut them up, right? If you have quality, if you can, shut everybody up. That is your job on the pitch. Now, that is definitely a case because Romania, in those friendly games before the tournament, was crashed by the media, was destroyed by the media, and it was Stanciu, the goal scorer for the opener against Ukraine, coming to the press conference after to say, you have offended us, so we can accept criticism, but there was a lot of offense that we took to whatever you were saying or writing, right? So they hear it, they read it, and look at that. They can shut everybody up. Go into that press conference. I want you to win every game by 3-0. Come back in that press conference and say, I hope we've shut everybody up. Thank you. That's all we expect. We want you to shut us up. That's what you should do every game. So I think there's something that Harry Kane, and I think maybe those are not his words actually, because he's a captain and he has to hear the locker room and he has to represent them when he goes in front of the media. So I think most of that message maybe comes from the locker room, not exactly from him himself, right? So he comes in front of the cameras and said, those pundits and those guys speaking on TV and those guys giving opinions and so on, ex-footballers becoming pundits. Hey, Harry, there's one big detail. They do not have a responsibility to the national team today. They have a responsibility to their audience, to their public. Please allow them give them the courtesy and allow them to perform their job in the job they have today. And do not draw parallels to the job they had 20 years ago or 30 years ago. They have a responsibility to their audience and their public. And what you are asking them is really, I know we're shit, but do not say it. Is that your request? Because basically that is actually the complaint, right? You should be a little bit more, understand that you're putting a lot of pressure on us. Hey man, let them do their job. Do not ask
I
them
think
to perform differently.
listen, does the England team deserve criticism? I mean, I'm not going to sit and go, it's perfect, whether they deserve to be
Right.
criticised. The criticised, we call that even like Jude Bellingham for performance against Denmark was toilet, right? If someone's shit, we'll say they're shit, whether we love them or not. I think a lot of the Yanks with some of the assessment here is exactly what I said in the reference last Monday. It's not the criticising the players, it's the kind of the archaic, let's get it up to the big man and understand that
Yeah,
the
yeah.
game's changed, right? And so the criticism of that aspect of it tactically, do they need to be critical? Of course, you can't just paint it and go, oh yeah, we're England and we're on 4 points and it's okay. No,
Yeah.
people deserve better. So of course there's going to be criticism. I think the problem is on a lot of the analysis I've watched, and particularly obviously I know it's heightened and more emotional because remember these guys are fans as well. The ex players who are there, they want England to win. They don't
Yeah,
want
they will
England to
cheer
do
for every
badly.
goal. Every goal.
So it's emotional as well. You should remember that it's not just an analysis of I'm watching Manchester United versus Manchester City and I'm going to
Right.
analyze the game. There's an emotive to it as well. So they will feel the frustrations that we feel. Where I think it's lacked a little bit is so right. So okay, why has it gone wrong? Come up with your solutions. And yes, I think Harry is right to say, okay, so you didn't do these things.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I think one key thing he did say is, understand what it meant to wear the shirt, right? There is pressure. You knew what this pressure was. Some of it you will get, and I know it's people being kind of put on the spot in a moment is, God, try harder and stuff like. Come on, give us a little bit more. They're not out there not trying. But it might be what you said. There might be a consciousness of conserving some energy going into
Yeah,
later the tournament. They don't want to fail. They feel burdened. This has been a big problem for England ever since I've known watching football. Is something happens to people when they put on that shirt, and some people just shrink because the
yeah.
weight of the shirt is huge.
But
And that's not
what
just an
if?
English problem. That can happen with other nations as well, by the way.
Yeah, so my only problem is that you should not be giving, let's say, open courses to how content creation should be provided to the public, right? That is not your job.
No, people can
Because
do it however they want. That's what we
exactly,
do, right?
exactly. This is where we are. And you are discussing pressure now. We have pressure every day, James. There is pressure in this 1, 2 hours that we have recorded right now. There is the pressure of us being judged on everything we say. There is a pressure of somebody that goes on stage to present anything, to do a theater moment, whatever, to do a stand-up comedy routine on a stage. Everybody that shares a stage in the open with the public paying a ticket behind is subject to pressure. We feel it every day. So it means we have accepted that that pressure is there. It means that we understand that in 5 seconds, you can destroy your whole credibility. You can understand that in one sentence, on one paragraph, you are completely cancelled for whatever activity you are doing today if you go on any stage. Why do you think the world stage of football is different? You are in that profession. You are going on a stage. Accept that pressure. That is your job, chosen by you, understood by you, developed by you throughout the years. Do not complain about pressure because even smaller guys who make really nothing compared to what you make every week are really guys that share the same amount of pressure or even higher in their everyday jobs, in their everyday activity. Do not judge them. Do not school anybody about how they should be applying pressure to you when you go on a stage. Football is a world stage. You have decided to go on that stage. Accept that pressure.
But I also think we shouldn't criticize someone for speaking openly then, because then that goes both ways from a mental
Oh, no,
aspect
no,
as
no, no,
well.
no. No, definitely. Share your opinion. It's totally fine. But just to understand that it doesn't mean that the pundits should be speaking differently. It doesn't mean that
Oh
they
no,
should
no,
be
no, exactly what I
expressing
said.
themselves
If you
differently.
need to be
Yeah,
criticized, criticize. I think it's probably some of the manner of it. And listen, I said, I think if it creates a culture within the squad where they feel like they've been wrong, no one likes to hear they've been told they're doing shit at their job, right? It's basically what
yeah,
you're
yeah.
doing if you think about it on that sort of scale. So if someone from the outside tells you that you're doing shit at your job, you're like, well, you're not here. I'm doing my job, right? Well, if that creates the right type of motivation and England use that for good, that's what this needs to be. That's what it
And
needs to be. And at the same time, those who are given the criticism are doing their job to the best of their ability, they'll feel as well, right?
right. So what I'm saying is that pressure has nothing to do with it. Everybody had pressure up to any final, up to any tournament, up to any
Of
trophy
course.
they've lifted over their heads. Do not talk about pressure because that is your job, and we expect every footballer and every champion is expected to be able to handle that at the highest levels. Everybody had pressure in for every champion you could talk to. Did you have pressure before actually becoming a champion? There will be not even one of them telling you, well, actually, it was a breeze. No, pressure is there. Pressure is there. So just handle it. Just try to gauge that into something positive, meaning shut them up. If you do not shut them up in a press
Let
conference, you
let your
do
football do the talking is the old saying.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Calin, thank you so much. Absolute pleasure. I got three really quick questions for you.
sure.
And give us kind of one word answers on there. How will this end for Romania?
Knockout phase, first game,
How will this end for England?
semifinals.
Who will win it?
Shit.
Like you haven't thought about this.
No, honestly, I've been shifting around the answers. That is the issue because I'm not sure if everybody has a name in mind, starting a tournament, keeping on that name even after. But I don't know. I think I'll go with Portugal, I think.
Okay. Interesting. See how I knew there was three questions because I knew you wouldn't say winners for question two.
Okay.
Calin, tell everyone where they can find you and about your channel before we finish, mate.
Well, I'm not sure I would recommend it in any way because it's content in Romanian, so there wouldn't be such a high relevance. I would recommend Planet FPL Patreon. That's where you'll find me in English. I'll be there, maybe in some Zoom calls for advanced tier Patreons. When we are having discussions in English, we might bump into each other over there. Otherwise, in Romania, we are discussing in Romanian language, and I hope for everyone following English football, we are doing you proud in telling you that we have so much pride and confidence in the values of English football that we have decided to make that our profession, to really promote that in a foreign country and to develop a product and content which discusses only English football. And English football meaning that I might know more about what's happening in the Premier League compared to what's happening in the Romanian First League. So that is the level of, let's say, dedication I have to English football, and I could not be more happy to follow every week all the action in England.
There was a banner. You just reminded me. There was a banner in the Romanian end on Saturday night with something about Steaua Bucharest.
Huh.
What
Okay.
did it say? Do you know?
I don't know it. I didn't see it.
There was a banner. See if you can find it. It was something
Okay.
about FCSB is not, and you couldn't see the rest of the
Oh,
banner.
right. So I can actually clarify that for you very easily.
Please.
FCSB is not Steaua Bucharest. So that is actually a statement that is going now for years in Romania. And it's only because Steaua Bucharest had the owner of Gigi Becali. Now, Steaua was actually a, let's say, government-related football club. That means the army had Steaua Bucharest in Romania before the revolution in 1989. So Steaua was the army team, and Dinamo Bucharest was the police, but we would call it militia, you know. So the police team would be Dinamo Bucharest. So these type of government, or let's say directly ministries handling football, was a common happening in Romania before 1989. That's why I'm saying that the army had Steaua, police had so internal affairs, let's say, had
Dinamo.
Dinamo. Now, after that, the army had to switch to some kind of a, let's say, private sector that now we're given to owners and so on. It is an entire podcast, this one, James. So
Oh,
I'm not sure.
don't do an entire podcast.
So the
Just a
short
short,
version.
and we'll do that podcast sometime.
Short version is that Gigi Becali was blamed of not having paid for the trademark to really own Steaua. And that belongs to the army, to really the national defense ministry here in Romania. Up until now, they have successfully challenged that, and they are the owners of the brand. They actually formed up a new team, developed it from the grassroots up to now second league in Romania. You can see Steaua Bucharest in the second league without the right of promotion, because they are still a government agency funded club and they are not allowed to participate in first league football based on that. They are not getting a license because they need to have private owners. So that's why you have Steaua Bucharest in League 2 and you will have FCSB, which was the decision of Gigi Becali to say, well, if I cannot use Steaua, I'll just use FCSB. Fuck it. I don't care. I don't give a rat's ass about the name. It was a very big miscalculation about that because he split the fan base, because a lot of them are split between the two teams right now. And that's where the division comes from. Like some of them do not consider the team of Gigi Becali to be Steaua, and they consider the team in the second league owned by the national defense system, let's say, ministry, army, and so on, to be the real Steaua.
Technically, just one question for clarity on that. Steaua won the European Cup.
1986.
Which club owns the rights to that?
The army. They have the trophy. They have the trophy case. They have the all the history. It's up to them. So Gigi Becali with FCSB would have only the history behind, starting from the year that he started investing in the team, and from that, normally it generated FCSB as a recognized entity in football. It is a really complicated discussion.
Okay. Let's do that podcast at some point, mate. Calin,
Right.
thank you so much. Absolute pleasure. You can follow Calin
Thank
as
you
well
also.
on Twitter /X, Mr. Calin Mates. Clayton will be back with me tomorrow for, I promise, a much shorter podcast. We'll be looking back on the
My apologies.
group. No. It's been fascinating, Calin. Thank you so much, mate. You know I could talk to you all day, pal. We'll be looking back on the Group B games played tonight. But otherwise, just leaves me to say thanks very much, Calin. And cue music, please, man child.